Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. I'm Maria Casillas, joined here by my incredible co-host, Cody Sizemore. And I can't believe it, but we are almost through the first half of this year. I am beyond. I know it sounds so cliche to say time just keeps going faster and faster the older that you get. And I remember being young thinking that's something old people say. And now I'm said old person. But man, it really is flying by. So I just wanted to say out loud that it might be time for a reset for some people. We are, like I said, almost fully halfway through this year. And one of the things that as financial coaches, we're realizing here at New Money Habits is that people are getting frustrated with their plans. They might have started really, really strong in January and got really excited about the budgets that they put out, their money plans. And all of a sudden, things are not going the way that they had hoped that they would go. And they're kind of starting to want to give up. And we're here to say, don't give up, just reset. The middle of the year is a great time for said reset. So I would like to invite Cody into the conversation about what does that look like? What does it even mean? And why is it important? So Cody, welcome to our podcast today. So nice to have you as we have you every single week. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired and really
Yeah.
busy lately, but overall, I'm feeling good.
That's really good. And I think it's funny because I'm part of a book study and we were talking it's for homeschool moms and we were talking about the summer and they said, "Oh yeah, summer is like this is the perfect time to just kind of relax and get other things done because everything's slowed down." And my face contorted a little bit. And they're like, "Is it not slowing down for you?" I said, "Oh gosh, no." It feels like it's speeding up somehow. I don't know how. So I'm kind of with you, Cody. Things are a little bit crazy and super busy, but we're here for it. And
hmm
sometimes it might be time for our little reset as well. So I'm glad we get to have this conversation together today.
Yeah, not a problem. So I think that people are probably wondering what the heck even is
A
a
reset.
mid-year reset.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think part of it is looking, like I mentioned, at what your plan was in the beginning. And so, for the sake of our listeners, we're going to kind of keep this around our clients' budgets, but it doesn't have to be just around that. Obviously, you can reset in any given form. But like I said, ours is more of the homeschool reset. You got done with one year and you're going to sort of reset for the next, what went well, what didn't go well, and what needs to change. And so, it's kind of that but we're going to do it around money. What has gone well so far with the plans that you've had since January or February or March, whenever you started with your clients? But what's gone well? What have you seen as hiccups? What needs to be changed a little bit so that it can go better in the next several months as well?
hmm hmm Yeah. Um, and I think that, one of the frustrations that I hear people say, especially when I'm first starting to talk to people, is that they've tried budgeting over and over and over and over and over, but it just never seems to work because
Mm.
of unexpected things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So how do we like, I guess number one, address that, but then also number two, help people get into a system or a structure that they feel good about,
hmm
that even
hmm
if something unexpected comes up, that they know how to handle that without completely falling off the rails.
yeah. Well, one thing I would say is let's start to define what is unexpected. And I think one of the categories that people oftentimes forget is the expected unexpected.
Mm.
So I'm sure you know what I mean by that, Cody, but
Yeah.
just that idea that things like Christmas and birthdays are things that are expected because we know they're going to be there, but we somehow feel like they just kind of creep up on us, you know?
hmm
So I think that's one thing. I think there's also things that a lot of clients would if things were ideal, they would just work that into their monthly budget, things like car repairs and home repairs, things that are sort of, again, expected, but the timing of them might be unexpected. But I use the word ideal there, and I think that that's part of the problem. I think that oftentimes, whether we're just newly trying to work out a budget, or maybe we're a new coach and we're trying to help somebody else work out their budget, we tend to kind of stick to the things that are ideal. We look at what is the best case scenario, and that almost never happens. It's just not likely, right? So we need to make sure that we're working in things that are likely for somebody, even if it feels like it's not going to get the traction that they're hoping to get right off the bat.
So that last part is really important because I think that you can go about this numerous ways. Um, at least in the way that I structure my program, the second meeting that we have, we essentially do like an audit with them
Mhm.
and we see like what has been happening and then we decide how we want to, you know, do things moving forward that are going to be serving them, get them in the best place possible, that kind of thing. And a lot of that is, making decisions on like, hey, for this line item, we're going to budget X amount for this, right?
Mhm.
And I think that it's really important for you to be on the same page with the person that you're working with and basically, see where they're at with this. Are they the type of person that values that peace of mind and it wants to have that consistency, um, basically like prepare for things that are either expected or unexpected.
Mhm.
And like you said, by doing that, it could definitely slow down their progress on the goal that they're trying to take care of. Because quite frankly, I mean, you could allocate money to so many things every single month, and any sort of surplus that you would have had can get eaten up pretty darn quick.
Mhm.
Car
Mhm.
repair fund,
Mhm.
home repair fund, Christmas fund, travel fund, birthday fund, clothes fund. Like there's so many things that you could do. And even those are just like how many was that? Like 5 or 6, right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Mhm.
So even if we only said, "Hey, let's just put like $100 on average to each one." Well, that's $600.
Mhm.
And that's just what I said. There's
Yep.
other things that can
Yep.
go in there too. So it's very easy to get, $1,000 or more that we're just setting aside for these little funds every single month. And chances are that's either going to eat up their surplus to where they're just breaking even,
Mhm.
or maybe they have a couple $100 to put towards their goals. Um, or if this is a situation where a person has, a decent surplus, it could slow things down pretty dramatically. Um, but different things are important to different things, or different things are important to different people, rather.
Mhm.
So you need to very early on figure out what's important to you. Are you the type of person that needs that peace of mind? That's a planner that, wants to make sure that they're taking care of every single thing in every single way every single month. And they're okay with it, maybe a slower process of getting themselves out of debt or building their savings or making their investments, whatever you're working with them on. Or are they the type of person who has a little bit more of a higher risk tolerance? And they also are maybe just a little bit more hungry to
Mhm.
get things accomplished. And they're also the type of person that faces adversity a little bit better than other people. Someone like me,
It's
right?
funny you say that because I was like, "Oh, you're describing yourself."
Right, right, right. And if that's the type of person that you're working with, then maybe it makes sense to look at some of these areas, probably not all of them, but maybe
Yeah.
some of them, um, and just say, hey, like with this type of thing, we are just going to address it when it comes up, and we're going to work it into that specific month, and we're going to be intentional. with that.
Mhm.
It's like a birthday, for
Yep.
example,
Yep.
or Mother's Day or Father's Day, whatever it might be. And we're going to be intentional. But we know before we even start this process that what we're working up right now is the ideal situation. And some months you're going to have that. But we also know that during these months where XYZ happens, that we should expect for this ideal outcome to not actually come to fruition. And
Mhm.
we're okay with that
Mhm.
because we're still making progress at the fastest rate possible while we're also making progress on taking care of the things that come up,
Yep.
kind of thing. And I think
Yep.
that's
And
very important to distinguish the type of person in the very beginning.
I agree. Also, I think you have to make sure that you know how to handle those things that are truly unexpected or things that
Hmm.
are not yet planned for. So in your example, maybe, you say, since we're not going to be putting money aside specifically for car repairs, then we do want to have a high enough peace of mind fund that, or swan fund in your case,
Correct.
that when that thing happens, we can take from that and there's not any hiccups for us. So as long as you have a plan for what to do when that thing happens. I'm smiling over here because I agree 100% with what you just said. The smile is when you have 2 people sitting in front of you who are married and they have very different needs or
Mm.
want in that category. That's always fun to work with and to help manage. And I'm just curious, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's very situational. You know,
Yep.
every person's a little bit different. Every couple's a little bit different. Um, Generally speaking, I think that in general, you probably find a middle ground
Mhm.
in certain ways, you
Yep.
know, um, compromise on certain things, a little bit here, a little bit there kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And when I do
I,
that, I actually let them choose. Like I kinda, you get to choose
yeah,
one, you get to choose another, so that they're kind of feeling like they're both part of that decision making.
yeah,
Uh,
yep. You just got to kind of like you just said, like empower them to make their own decisions, but also hold them accountable that it's not too tilted on either end of the scale,
yep.
you know?
Mhm.
Um,
I
but yeah,
agree.
you know, but you said something very early on when you were opening up this episode. I wanted to kind of circle back to.
Okay.
Um, you had mentioned that the mid-year reset's a really good time to see what's been working, what hasn't been working, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I can't remember what episode that we discussed this in, but and it was for a different reason that we discussed this exercise. But uh, I do an exercise with my clients probably around like month 3 or 4, so about
Mm,
halfway through my program because I do a
mm.
6 month program,
Yep.
at least like the initial one. Um, and that exercise is literally just 4 questions, which
Mhm.
is what's been working, what's not been working, what is missing, and what are you tolerating that maybe you shouldn't be.
Mhm.
And just doing that exercise, it actually helps me quite a bit. It helps me learn to, be a better coach for them and to, double down on things that are working or, pick up the slack where things are might be missing or whatever it might be. But it also helps them. And it gives them a chance to kind of reflect and say, hey, what has been working? What hasn't been working? So it's kind
Yeah.
of the same process. And that could be like a simple exercise that you can do maybe during the middle of the year, but also during the middle of your coaching as
Yeah.
well as like a mid relationship reset kind of thing,
Yeah.
mid coaching
Especially if you
reset.
have a scheduled coaching, duration that you're used
Yeah.
to, then
Yep.
you can certainly pick that midpoint. And I think that that was a great conversation, by the way, and I think it was probably within the last 2 months of our
I think it was
episodes.
like the last couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to go back and listen to the details of that, it was a really good one, especially what the coaches are able to receive from doing that exercise and the feedback that they get from the clients. I thought was a really great ad that you had thrown into the to that conversation. But yeah, I think that knowing what is working and what's not working really is a way to be able to move forward, because if you don't do something like this, and here's the biggest reason we're having this conversation, is that if you don't do something like this and it's not working, maybe you have more that's not working than's working, you're likely to have your clients just give up. Like, it's and even if they're not your clients, if this is you, maybe you've got something going on in your own life, you're just likely to go, I can't do this. This isn't working. And so I'm just going to stop. Well, if you just stop, then it's just going to get far worse over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, rather than, okay, this didn't go the way I had hoped it would go. This is partly what's working. These are the things that need to be tweaked. And just so you know, it's not going to be ideal the next 6 months either. Like you're going to tweak something and maybe that breaks something else, when as you go. But this is how we grow as people. We want to make sure that we're not constantly, that we're consistently checking in on the process and making tweaks where necessary.
Yeah. And that's the other important thing too, is that, you know, when you set when you and your client work on getting a budget set together, that the first one more than likely won't be the same one 4 months later.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like every single month you should be reviewing everything and
Mhm.
looking at trends. Like, sometimes I'll notice that people's especially lately, like their gas budgets,
Mhm.
right? I've noticed that, like, hey, over the last 2 or 3 months, we've been going over on gas pretty consistently by like $100 or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. And we
Mhm.
can look at that and we can say, okay, well, let's make this adjustment now.
Right.
The same thing with groceries, right? Um, let's make an adjustment now. And then, hey, if gas prices come down and we see that we're consistently over the course of 2 or 3 months going under budget, then cool, let's make an
Mhm.
adjustment, kind of
Yep.
thing. So that should be something that you do every month with your clients, is like not just reviewing things to see where they're at, how much money they have left, and what you can do, but also to ensure that, like, the day to day, week to week, and month to month process of just handling their finances is realistic, you
Yeah.
know?
Agreed.
So, yeah. Cool. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that it's just something that I would encourage our listeners to do, whether you have one client or 300 clients. I really encourage you to take the time and invite them into a mid-year reset. And you know what? Maybe you do the same for yourself. It could be your own personal budget. It could be a mid-year reset on your coaching business. That's something that we didn't really talk about here today, but it is something that you could absolutely do. What's working in your business? What's not? What's one thing that you maybe want to tweak? What's something you thought was going to do really well and it ended up to be a giant zinger? Just figure some of that stuff out. This is a good time. And unfortunately, the time's not going to slow down. I think we're going to pretty soon we'll be doing our Christmas episode and going, what just happened? Like, weren't we just talking in June? Because as I said earlier, the older we get, the faster this time seems to go. So Cody's his has slowed down a little bit because he's not quite as old as I am. But you know what? In a few years, Cody, you're gonna come back to me and go, "Oh, I get it."
I already get it. I already get it.
Oh, I appreciate each of you listening into our musings today. It was great having you join us. We look forward to seeing you and visiting with you on another podcast episode next week for the Financial Coaches Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching.